Hello and welcome to the Dental Diaries podcast. Once again, I am here today with Eleni Marie. This is her Instagram handle, and we were just talking behind the scenes about her name because she's got this gorgeous long last name that I knew I would botch if I tried to pronounce, so you can pronounce it for us.
Yeah, it's Papadopoulos.
Papadopoulos. That's actually easy to remember to say, though.
For some people, I guess. I don't know. A lot of people can't get it.
Papadopoulos. I feel like I could say that. And
Yeah,
that's obviously Greek, right?
Yes, it's very Greek.
I love it. So are you 100% Greek?
No, my dad's Greek. My mom's Colombian. So I'm half and half.
Nice. Oh, I love it. Our nanny is from Colombia. She
Oh,
lives
nice.
with us here. She's actually heading back there soon, but I hear about Colombia all the time.
It's very nice there.
I would love to go visit someday. So you are the second in at Tufts. Well, actually not right now because you're studying virtually, but the second Tufts student that I have talked to, which is so exciting for me being a Tufts grad myself. So what inspired you? Well, let's go back. I always like to start at the beginning. So let's go way back to, which actually wasn't that way back for you because you're so young. Of what inspired you to go to dental school?
Right. Okay. So I actually became interested in dentistry when I was in high school. So actually both of my parents are dentists.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they actually both went to Tufts too.
They did? Your mom as well?
Yeah.
What year did she graduate?
Well, she did the international program.
Okay.
My dad did his DMD there. He graduated in 89.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if you knew my mom. She went back after having the three of us and graduated in 88.
Oh, maybe.
Yes. I wonder. That's so interesting because, I know the years do separate though. You really don't know people in another class, which is why I was asking you earlier, with the classes, well, and then COVID, right? You're not seeing anyone too, for 1 and 2 year, it's hard. But that's interesting. I wonder, plus it goes so far back, but I think the classes were maybe even smaller back then than they are now.
Oh, for sure. It's up to 200 now.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And with that tuition, that's even crazier.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that you guys are home. I don't know how that works, but do you feel like you're getting the same amount of learning in for that?
I feel like I am. I know a lot of my classmates have complained a lot about it, but the funny thing is that I typically like to go to class. I like to go to lectures live. Pretty much the majority of my class doesn't go to the lectures. So it's just if you're watching it online anyways, because even before all of this.
Oh, really?
Yes. So it's why would you complain about us being online when you guys never even went to class?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So wait, you don't have to sit in that auditorium up on the 8th floor anymore?
No. If you don't want to, you don't have to because everything is recorded.
Stop it.
The only class that we had to attend, of course, was the clinical lab.
Oh gosh, yeah, of course. And gross anatomy, you can't learn, right? Any other way. Gosh, that still sticks with me. Everything, the smell, everything I can still see, and it's been so many years. It's crazy. Down in the basement there when you'd walk over and
It's actually all new now. We have a new anatomy lab.
You do? Is it nice? Where is it? Is it in the basement?
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
It's across the street in the research building, I guess you would call it.
Oh my gosh. There you go. You guys just have the best of the best. Because I was just talking to, I was just saying that I had Connie Wang on for another episode, and we were talking about the renovations that were done. And I was back visiting Boston recently, and they weren't open, but I was dying to go in because it's been the same for so long until just recently. And so you guys really, so speaking of tuition and all that, really have a beautiful facility. And then the SimClin, which is great. And then of course, and now a new gross lab, that would make things so much better because we lived in there first year. Was it first year or second? I don't even remember now.
First year.
first. Yeah. I mean, you live there because that is hard. It's so fascinating. So fascinating. Oh my
It's so
gosh.
interesting.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, that's a gift actually in life to date. I would say LASIK surgery for my eyeballs was like such a gift because it took away a handicap. Like I swear to God, I would tell anybody that is one of the best things ever. I used to be blind as a bat, like couldn't see the clock next to the bed. And I actually had LASIK done when I was in dental school at
Oh,
Mass Eye and
really?
Ear. I had them do one eyeball at a time because I was too worried about being a student, getting out and being a dentist and having all that debt and not being able to like see. So it's so crazy. But like, so that was one thing. But the other thing was, gross lab and being able to see a cadaver, human cadaver, many for that, like inside the human body. Oh my God.
Yeah, it
Like
was
how
such
are
a
we made? Where do we come from? Like it's also mind blowing.
yeah, it really is so interesting and such
Right?
a great experience. Yeah.
It is. And so hard too, because like body to body, how everything's in different places and how they would just finesse this nerve out of, you know, the fascia of somebody like else where you're like, what? To try to like tell what it was. And I don't
Mhm.
know.
And
That
not
was,
everything
yeah,
has colors to it. They all kind of look the same color. So it's like,
right.
is this the nerve? Is this a blood vessel? Is it a vein? Like, what is
Yes.
this?
I know. I know. It was fascinating though, for sure. That was one of my favorite courses. Well, it was hard. It was so hard, but pathology was my other favorite fascinating course, which, and fast forward to now with COVID, like as well, I always say like, it's so mind blowing, fascinating to me as that like a virus, like a little, like something invisible basically, could affect like so many. Well, it's not invisible, we know, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Pathology, microbiology, all of that stuff was always like my favorite,
Yeah, it's
you
so
know,
interesting. Yeah.
like
And then
just
how the body can also react to it and fight it off
right. I
is
know.
crazy.
Your immune system. And with growth as well, like how the kidneys, how it's bilateral. So if something fails on one side, with the exception of the heart, of course, that you can basically
Function.
yeah, I
Hmm.
know. It's insane. It's absolutely
Hmm.
amazing. So sorry, somehow I got way off path there, but so back up. So you were in high school. So your parents were both
So my
dentists,
parents were
are
dentists,
dentists.
and growing up, I was like, I never want to be a dentist. Like,
Yeah.
that's just gross to me. And then I finally took this career planning class, and I was really into art at the time. So I was looking into art, and nothing really was speaking to me. And so I went back and I said, okay, what am I interested in? What am I good at? And then literally dentistry just popped up on the screen. And ever since I saw it, I was like, okay, like maybe I'll do this. There's a little bit of art to it. I do like talking to people. There's science in it, which I really like. So since then I was interested. So I went into college as a biology major and I joined the pre-dental club, and through doing volunteering and mission trips.
Volunteering, like working for your parents, like
So with the club, we would go to local elementary schools and we would teach them on oral health,
oh, got it.
stuff like that.
Yep.
And then I went on a mission trip my sophomore year and we learned certain dental things. So how to take impressions, and we were able to assist one of the dentists there. They were doing mostly extractions. So it was really hands-on. And that experience really pushed me and motivated me to go into dentistry. So ever since that, I've had all these little experiences that made me more and more interested. And it just made more and more sense that this was what I was supposed to do.
So where were your parents in like any or all of that decision? Did they stay completely out of it? Did you say like, I'm thinking about this? And like, because obviously that's a parent's dream, right?
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
like you growing up to like, I remember the smell and the fluoride, like when I was a kid, when my mom was a dental hygienist actually for another practice before she went back later. And then her practice of course was beautiful and different. But I just, yeah, had just kind of negative vibes as well. Like I just didn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't something I wanted to do at all. And it wasn't
Hmm.
until college, I went in as a psych major. I, like you, this is a running theme amongst all of us that we all grew up loving art. I
Yeah.
mean, this is consistent. And it's so interesting because Exactly. So me being a psych major, having loved art, my mother not riding me, but seeing her passion for what she loved to do. And I think I needed beer money one summer and started assisting her, and like saw that she built a tooth out of nothing, like, and made that with all those different like colors. And I was like, oh, like that's really fun. After I had talked that person off of a ledge. So I had the psychology component, then I saw the art component, and then some guy at a fraternity party basically sealed the deal because he was there as a pre-dent because his dad was a dentist. And I was like, okay, this is a good career. I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm almost finished college, and it made sense. And so of course my mom like was so excited, but I worked in her office a little bit, of course, assisting in things during the summers.
Mm-hmm.
So during college, did you do some of that? And do your parents practice together, or do they have separate?
They practice together. So when I was like deciding, I did shadow them a lot. I never really assisted because I just didn't want to get in the way, but I would shadow and I saw what they were doing, and they never like pushed me. They were always like, we want to make sure that this was your own decision. We're not forcing you to do this. Obviously they were like so happy that I decided to do this, but they were always like, we don't want you to think that you have to do this. Like, we want this to be your own decision.
Right.
So they were very supportive for making my own decision.
That's good. I think, and that's so important for parents to do. It's funny too, because when you have parents, it's interesting, and that's good. They didn't like throw you in, because I remember my mom kind of throwing me in, but it was good for me. Like that's how she was. I remember being a hygienist. So I went to dental hygiene school first after undergrad though. I wasn't ready to study for the DAT.
Mm-hmm.
I liked just my friends too much and partying and all that stuff. So I wasn't really serious about it, but I applied to Forsyth, which is in Boston, part of Northeastern there. And that was great for me. So I went for 2 years there because I already had my bachelor's in bio, and then I practiced dentistry. Still lived in Boston, but commuted to Worcester, which is where my mom's practice was. Mm-hmm. But I remember she, like, behind the patient, she'd be like giving me, I know this is a podcast they can't see, but she'd be like giving me the finger, like over here, like behind the patient's head, like blowing air, seeing like one little bit of stain or something, such a perfectionist, which is funny because fast forward, I'm the same way. I don't know that I would do that, but but she was just trying to teach me, I think, as a kid, like, and to learn to be the best that I could be with that. But
right.
Being so passionate and loving what she did, I don't know, it was really fun, and it was fun practicing together as well,
Mm-hmm.
But she definitely, and when I was in there, she threw me in. Sure. I think she was just like, if you're going to be here, learn it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way that you do learn. It's fascinating.
Exactly.
We talk about it. Many that have had the opportunity to do some kind of shadowing, or even when you're shadowing, it's really best if the dentist is like, hey, why don't you jump in section or something, so you can have the hands-on, because at the end of the day, this could truly be an apprenticeship. You don't, like, all of the schooling, really, you'll see 1,000 years from now that it's really the creative, like the dentistry you do and the skill set that you have, and of course the personal skills, that win at the end of the day. It's not that molecule, that organic chem.
Right. Exactly. My mom is always like, I don't think about organic chemistry when I'm drilling the tooth.
Never.
And she's like, yeah.
No, and if you need a drug, honestly, like, I know the drugs pretty well, but I'll probably go to the book and just look it up to confirm. Like, I mean, there are some that right away, but if you have a question on something, you're going to look it up just to be sure. So it's interesting for sure, but I think that's great. So do you have any siblings?
I have a younger brother. He is in business. He wanted nothing to do with dentistry. So he's just kind of figuring his way. Also, he studied business, but then he decided to go into carpentry, and now he's realizing he doesn't really like that, and he'd rather do that as like a hobby. So he's kind of trying to figure it out as well. He was working in my parents' office for a little bit, but now he's like, I don't want to do that anymore either. So,
well, business is so good. We were talking about this too, how like in dentistry we don't get business, so like having business skills is tremendous. But that's interesting with carpentry, because that's kind of artsy too.
Yeah, it is.
must get a little bit of that. So do you have any vision of possibly practicing with them, or do you have a vision for your own thing?
Yeah, so I definitely think I will practice with them in the future. They have a beautiful practice in Brookline on Beacon Street.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they do.
I used to work at a practice when I was in school on right and there around there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's a great area. So, I think it'll be really great for me to work there. But I also think that starting off, I would like to work in another office just to see how it goes in a different office, a different environment, maybe learn from a different dentist besides my parents.
Right.
So kind of get a different experience starting off and then eventually take over once they both retire.
Which dentists, never retire. Most don't anyway, unless they have other things. Most dentists, I work with dentists, and one that I was talking to has really been struggling because his dad, the idea was he would come in and his dad would retire. Like his dad would start leaving and his dad's not leaving. And, coming out of dental school, he's hungry and has a different vision. Obviously, when it comes to treatment planning, his dad was more of an emergency dentist, just, and not charging people and all this stuff. And he comes out with all this debt and he's like, Dad, like things have to change here. And he's really stuck because he also feels like if he leaves, to do his own thing, then there's the whole family rift of like, wait, your dad, and I think his dad's around 80, like 80 years old too.
Oh my God.
And yeah, not leaving anytime soon. So, you'll have to kind of see, what plays out. And if there's room for you there, or like you said, to that point, they see you coming up and they're like, hey, we're going to take down days. Do they switch days right now, or they do? Yeah. Not together.
They switch off days right now. My mom is actually still teaching at Tufts. So she works part-time in the office, part-time teaching. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What does she teach?
She teaches in the clinic. She's pros.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So she does a lot of pros. My gosh, you've got a lot. So like the knowledge and all of that. And so you didn't, because you went to BC, you've always been a Boston girl then.
Right. Yeah. I've always been in Boston. I love it so much. And so being at Tufts has just been like the best thing for me.
That's awesome. So you never had a vision of going anywhere else for...
Not really. I mean, my whole family lives here. So I have all the support that I need here in Boston. And I don't know, I just love it here so much.
That's awesome. You're still young yet, so you never know where life may take you. I mean,
True.
I was practicing, it's so funny, and I encourage my kids, I'm like, go to college far away, and my youngest Paige, of course, she's only 10, will say, no, I'm going to go to Northwestern because it's like right here. And I was like, no, you need to go to California or to Boston or even England. Like my husband's from England, go to Cambridge, like go fly with your wings, like go somewhere. But I, would have never thought. I was practicing with my mom as a dentist, so hygienist, then went to Tufts, then started practicing with her and loved her practice. Gorgeous. Could have been totally happy there. Amazing. We were super close, and, she was so much fun and so passionate about teeth. But we, on a whirlwind, went out to Chicago for a weekend, and literally, I don't know what happened. And I was just talking to Connie on the last podcast about this, is like following our gut. And so your gut may be very grounded where you are right now, but by keeping it open, like you said, proximity is power, and you just never know with whom you're going to meet, where you're going to go or be. Like you might be at a conference somewhere. But like I was in Chicago, and I don't know what happened. If you told me right now, okay, I'm an East Coast girl. I grew up on Cape Cod. I went to Newport in the summers. I am East Coast through and through, sailing, like you name it. If you told me I lived in Illinois, I would never, ever believe you. I swear to God. But Chicago, I mean, we live on the lake. So the lake looks like an ocean. It's so vast. Some days it looks like the Caribbean. It's so green. It's so pretty. But, so I have the body of water, which feeds my soul. But Chicago's like booming. It's so, because Boston is amazing too. I love it so, so much. We actually went back. I got married there. My family's there. I love it. But like when I come home, I'm like, I'm home. When I come to Chicago, there's something about it, I think, Boston being smaller, that like fed my soul. I got out here and it was just different, and I needed to grow in that regard. But something happened and I made the decision literally that weekend and was like, I'm going to come out and get my license here and try something new. And my mom was like, go for it. Like,
that's awesome.
You know, I think it's good for you. And
so,
you know,
I guess I have to keep my mind open then.
Yes. Like
never know.
You never know. And I think it's so good for growth, you know, to explore and and the other thing is like coming out here. When you look back and you reflect, you're like, God, there were so many signs everywhere I was supposed to be here, like multiple signs. I think I did a podcast on that one day. And it's just so crazy to fast forward. I mean, that's where too, where I met my husband and then the kids. Like if I were in a different place, obviously I would have met someone else, something else would happen, but you know, because you obviously fall in love wherever you are, but it's so interesting. I love it so much. Like the journey of life. I mean, maybe, are you dating someone now?
Yeah, I have a boyfriend of 2 years. So, yeah.
Is he in dentistry or no?
No, he's in business.
Oh, okay.
He works at KPMG.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he's grounded there.
Right. Yeah. So he's in Boston and it works out so well because actually his building is about a 10-minute walk from Tufts. So sometimes we'll get lunch together and I'll go to his place after school sometimes because he lives right in South Boston. So it's just worked out so perfectly.
That's so cool. How you girls like manage to date as first years when you're younger too? I mean, I definitely dated, but I was I don't know. There was so much going on. I mean, I had relationships kind of end because I was like, I just can't commit to anything, you know, long term because I was always moving and grooving, I suppose.
Yeah. I think I was lucky because I met Kyle about a year before dental school started. So we were kind of in like a steady relationship by then. So having his support through all of it has helped me.
Yeah.
And because we were in such a good place already, it just worked out so perfectly.
Yeah, it would definitely ground you, which is good, you know, and you don't have to, like I said, I wonder if things have changed or if they're the same. I mean, what I have seen change that I kind of opened with was the fact that you girls, like today, I don't know how. Now, I know you're all home, which, you know, how is this virtual thing? Are you at home now? Are you at your parents' house or do you have a...
So I live at home with my parents and I've been commuting since the beginning of dental school. So I decided to live at home rather than live in the city because it's so expensive and we're relatively close. So I just take the train into school. So nothing has really changed for me in that sense. I've been home this whole time. Okay. But for me, even though I really liked going into class and seeing the lectures live before all of this, I've really enjoyed being online. For me, it's just been great because I can control my schedule myself. So if I have a class in the morning, but then afterwards I felt like I wanted to go work out, you know, I can just go work out. I don't have to wait till the end of the day to go work out, which is kind of nice. And it's like, if I feel tired, I can sleep in a little bit more. Yeah. Or, you know, I can eat lunch whenever I want because when we're in school, we only had that 1 hour to eat lunch between like lectures and then maybe clinic.
Right.
So
yeah.
I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Flexibility is everything. I was just talking on the last one about that too, about quarantine and the flexibility because we've been back on the hamster wheel now for so many weeks I can't even count. And I loved getting up in the morning, going for a walk on the water, coming back, enjoying my coffee, seeing my kids, and like, going to the gym if I wanted or doing some work. And then, you know, it was so nice to work on the business versus in the business because it's like when your hands are in the mouth or we're tied to a schedule in dentistry for sure, whether you're a student or you're in the practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was also hard, like I said, being for us during that quarantine time because there was when we had to shut our doors, we trade time for money. So there's no cash flow coming in. Mm-hmm. That was definitely a trying time for, a lot of people. I'm sure your parents too.
Yeah, my parents as well. Yeah. My dad was like, I don't like this at all. I need them to open things back. He was like ready to start working again.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's our nature too. I think as dentists, we're very busy body, like, and perfectionists. Like things, have to be working. I mean, I was getting anxiety walking through my living room because the lab cases were being sent here for people that were like still in temps and, small makeover guide on temps and things. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then they kept pushing the time out. And I was like, oh my gosh, when fortunately for me, I have other things going on. So I filled my time, doing all of my other things, which worked out. And I loved that and having that.
Yeah.
But if I didn't, like well, I maybe would have read one of my many, like hundreds of books that I continue to buy on Amazon with the good intention of reading and then just never have time to read them.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I read so much during quarantine.
Did you? Like good reading?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's good. I mean, if you have, and that's what I say, like take your journey, take your time, enjoy every minute of it because it just gets busier and busier as you go. So your parents have both been back to work. They're letting you stay home, obviously, because you've got online, school and stuff. But have you like jumped in with them at all, like gone to the office or?
Not exactly. When I asked them if I could come and assist, they're like, don't like, it's okay. We don't really want like that many extra people in the office. We want to keep it to the essentials. Right now, we don't want you to get sick. But then it's funny because then my brother started working there, but he wasn't exactly doing the dental work. He was doing more of like fixing things around the office. Yeah. Carrying things, I don't know, doing social media. So it was a little bit different. But now that school started up again, I don't really have the time to go do that. But there was one day that I just went in. So if something else were to happen that they would need an assistant, maybe I would go in. There's definitely flexibility.
Sure. So let's talk about the social media because you just said social media. Of course, my ears perked up. So your parents, since you're super savvy and obviously another like found you through Instagram and connected there. Do you have your parents do you run Instagram? Do they run Instagram? Like, how are they on social media? Their practice having two children that are definitely
so
social.
After I graduated from Boston College, I was doing my master's, but then in the middle of that, I decided to take a leave of absence. And then I worked in their office doing their social media. And so that's when I got really into Instagram, YouTube for dentistry. And that's when I was inspired to start my own Instagram and my own YouTube. So during that time, I was working on my dad's Instagram, trying to put more aesthetic pictures on his page, kind of getting him a nice feed. He has a YouTube that he started, but he obviously doesn't put too much effort into it. He doesn't have time for that. He's tried to do different things with social media, but I think as a dentist, it's hard and there isn't really much guidance in that. And I think, that's why we need someone like you.
I'm trying to change that, right? Yeah. Because if I can do it with my life, with kids and the practice and my other business and everything else, like they can do it. They just need to be it's just a mindset shift.
Exactly.
There's content all day long that they can post on stories or at least get one post up for sure. So, which is good. Or, have the, at least understand it and then outsource it to someone on their team that would.
Right. Exactly.
Get it. But to keep it up and keep it consistent because it's speaking the love language of consumers, of current, your current patients for your culture, and then those that are shopping essentially or looking to become patients, which they do. They make their buying decisions there today. So
right, exactly. And actually, with some of the Instagram that I did for him, he actually did get a few patients off of Instagram from the posts that I did for him. So I was really proud of that. I was really excited about that.
See, it works. I have got validation, social proof. Did everyone hear that? Social proof. I say that and people are like, oh, but we're not you or we can't post like you. I'm like, it works, you guys. It works. You just have to show up, which is so interesting.
And I definitely,
does your dad have a page and your mom has a page? You don't have a practice page?
They have a practice page. That was the page that I was working on. He has his own Instagram with his name on it as well. My mom isn't quite as Instagram social media savvy, so she doesn't really have her own page, but they have their page for their practice.
That's
But
good.
he mostly now he uses his own page with his name.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. He posts more on that.
So who's running the office, the practice Instagram, where everyone's going to look like when they go to the website and they scroll down and they hit the practice name?
Well, I don't know if after I left, he had someone like an intern working on it, and then it kind of just no
Girl,
one's taking care of it,
he should
so
be
it's kind
paying
of pushed to the
you.
side.
He should be paying
Yeah,
you a little side hustle job because you know what you're doing. Because obviously your account is gorgeous and fun and authentic. And I think you could, and who knows your dad better than you? I think you should
true.
take it
Yes.
and run with it, especially if you enjoy it. I mean, you're a great content creator. So, I mean, why not? I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he doesn't want to overload you, but if that's a creative outlet like art is, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe take it because it would help. I
Yeah,
mean, if you look at it, that it's helping you basically because that is your future. If you're planning on going into practice with them,
true.
so you want to continue to grow that brand.
That is very true. Yeah.
Maybe look at it like that, but he can just pay you through the business
Mm-hmm.
as an
Yeah.
employee and a social
That's
manager,
exciting. And
social
I need
media
that
manager.
money.
That's a tax write-off for him. See, it's a win-win
Yeah.
all around. Yes, you should definitely talk to him about that. So your YouTube channel then, how did you learn and start to do videos since you guys all have these YouTube channels? Like I said, I know how difficult it is because I've tried to start one many times and can't seem to be consistent with that yet. How did were you self-taught?
Yeah, so I basically just taught myself all about it. I had to YouTube other videos about it, but mostly I've been watching 2 or 3 vloggers that I particularly liked, not within dentistry, but
Yeah.
then also there are 2 dental vloggers that I watched as well. So watching all of these videos, I kind of pulled ideas from all of them and using that knowledge kind of put it into my own channel and made it my own, but it was mostly just figuring it out on my own. And
Sure.
I've been doing it for about a year now and I'm still trying to figure it out. It's definitely like a learning process because it's weird talking to yourself on a camera, so you get really self-conscious about it, and it's something that I've had to work on, and I definitely think I'm getting better and better at it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's nothing like I wasn't taught. There's no course for it, I guess. So
Editing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and editing I've learned
Thumbnails,
on
getting creative
my
with thumbnails.
yeah, I've learned all of that on my own, just like Googling it and YouTube searching like how to do those things.
What are you using? How are you editing? In what?
So I just use iMovie on my Mac. I just use the basic, simplest things. I'm just like, I just want to make it as simple as possible for
Of
myself.
course.
I'm
Yeah.
already so busy with school, so just make it as easy as possible.
Right. No, dentistry, KISS principle, I think is like the number one big thing in dentistry we all talk about. So are you dropping videos? Are you doing them routinely?
So I try and do it at least once a week. I was able to keep that up for most of the spring semester. Fall semester, when I was first starting out, it might have been like one every week or every 2 weeks. So I'm trying to keep it one a week,
mm-hmm.
either doing a vlog or doing a sit down video.
That's good. So are you batching them or are you just doing the one a week? You're not batching your content then. You're coming up with the idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just doing it as I go. Sometimes I do batch if I have an idea and I'm like, okay, let me just film both of these at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time I'll just be like, okay, I have some free time on a Thursday. Let me do this sit down video. Or it's like Monday. I'm like, okay, let me do a vlog, and I'll just vlog it like every day of that week.
Well,
So I kind of, I kind of just do it as my schedule frees up. So it's kind of just like, go with the flow.
Right. Well, you have the house, like a house that's quiet because your parents are at work, which is like dreamy.
True. Yeah.
It's not like 3 kids at home. Like I always have to get out of here because there's some kind of noise, although they're being really quiet right now because I was just saying how I'm at home today. I'm usually not. I've been waiting for a kid to just like plow through the door, but they're being super respectful. So that's good. So what I noticed for a lot of you girls too, which is fascinating to me being dental students, is that you all, because I learned this late in the game, have like affiliate links for things, which is super cool. So did you approach those companies or did they approach you?
So I was approached by those companies. One of them was Twice.
Yeah.
Twice has kind of reached out to a lot of different people now, so it seems that it's been kind of diluted. I was originally reached out to, though, in like the beginning of when Twice first came out. And then I also was reached out by Crack the Dat. So it's just, I think, putting content out and then being noticed.
Right.
So, and being consistent, I think, is really important. And when I think these companies see that you're consistent,
Yeah,
they trust you to, promote their stuff.
of course. Consistency is key with brands. So that's really interesting. That's so interesting. I mean, that isn't something that was around back when, nor really is it, but a lot of you, I mean, it's fascinating to me because you're dental students that are considered influencers and companies out there are getting that, and that you can put it in front of a lot of other people in dental, which is great.
It's smart by these companies to do that.
It's so smart because I think that they approached you and like Connie too, also because you have YouTube channels. And obviously if you blow those up, that's the SEO, and YouTube is where it's at and where you should be and live. Way more than than Instagram, although, Instagram is definitely amazing. I love Instagram.
I love Instagram, but YouTube there's just so much more to it, and I'm slowly trying to learn about it, but there's all these things, like you said, SEO, there's all these ways that you can be like, you can like exponentiate your viewers, and you can just reach so many more people on YouTube, and it's amazing. And that's why I was like, I really need to get on YouTube as well, because that will just make my social media even higher.
No, totally for the rankings. And then the other thing though with YouTube is that it stays around forever. That's content that is queen, really.
Exactly.
It's so important. But to your point, it's so time consuming. Like for me, I would love the creative of sitting and playing and learning, and I think I'd be good at it. And I have tried, and then I ended up outsourcing it because I'm like, it's easier for me to pay someone to get the videos I need quickly. But I really, really would like to do it. But unless, like I said, I free up my time, and when my time gets to be a little bit more free, I want to take a deep dive. But I love documenting. I mean, obviously people love to see the face and hear the voice behind, it's like behind the picture, really, right? Like they're seeing the picture, which is great. And like, okay, so yeah, you've got a beautiful aesthetic, but then who are you really? And tapping into that. And that's where you're really going to engage them, and they become kind of a lifer at that. So that's why that can grow, like you said, like go viral.
Exactly. Yeah. I found that people are more interested in the vlogs than the sit down videos. And I think people are they just want to know more about your life once they know who you are, and they will stick around and they keep watching, which is really cool.
It's action. I wanted to do, so the vlog is where what I wanted to do. And I have, oh my gosh, like I can't even tell you how much camera equipment, like mics. I bought all of the things. I probably bought I watch YouTube videos too, and they'd be like, okay, you need all of this. And I'd buy the big YouTube packages. But there is something strange. And I obviously am a high I personality. I don't mind talking on camera. I don't mind being seen per se, but it is weird walking around with a camera, like a real camera, out with your vlogging, like you're out in the street, wherever. I don't think people necessarily look at it as being strange today because everyone's doing it. But I don't know, for me, and I can do that, but then it's like taking all of those, like cutting that together and making it blend well, and like adding the music, and for me it would have to be perfect, like not perfect, like a messy, beautiful storm perfect. I don't know.
Right. I feel like you really need to get over the perfectionism of it, because I felt like when I was trying to make it perfect, I just never got it. I had to just be like, okay with the imperfections, because otherwise I was just spending way too much time on it, and I need to do other things, like studying, which is more important. So you know, sometimes if it's not perfect, then it's not, and people still appreciate the content. So
no, it's awesome.
okay.
It's awesome. Something too for anyone listening that really wants to dive into this and doesn't have time because you're a student, but you really, really want to do it. So you guys know too, because a lot of you don't, is you can get a VA in the Philippines. I've had the same VA. So since I wanted to get started, although I have not committed because my life is too crazy and my hands are in the mouth like so often, I can't obviously vlog during that time. But there are like, I've had a VA for years now, and you know, and the cost per hour is so inexpensive that I can maintain and like keep a VA almost full time, and it pays for her entire family. So like my point is, it might be $5 an hour. Like if you outsource you batch your videos and you send them, like it's really not a lot, you know, and it helps them too. But you could continue to build your content, do your thing, build your brand, which is amazing. So I was just thinking about you, and I was like, if you needed help there, because it's hard, even though you want to learn it, but you want to spend more time on your studies, just run your social media for your dad, and then take that and like invest it back into, you know, your video.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you could do that because it's awesome, because it just makes like my life easy. I can send her, like I did a video on my phone this weekend for my membership club, and didn't even get fancy with my cameras. I was like, that's it. I'm just going to like, it was in between this virtual seminar thing I was doing, and they were like, just go, jump in, you know, and I was like on fire. So I was like, all right, like talking into my phone. And then I just sent it to Pa, and I was like, hey, can you edit it? And it's so fun because she will like put all the little blingy things that I love that would take me, weeks to try to figure out how to do popping hearts out of my head.
Yeah.
You know, with like the little bling sounds. I mean, again, would love to learn it, but if you don't have time, you can always outsource, and it doesn't have to be crazy financial.
Yeah.
Either, you know? So, I mean, I love, like I said, that you can do that like right now though, that, you know, find the time around, because it virtually with school, I'm sure when you're commuting in, it takes up a lot more time to commute in. Of course, when the world's open, we have so many other things too, right? Then you're meeting someone for dinner after work, or studying with somebody, and everybody's together. So right now it's such a great time to either batch your content or be all in. You know,
exactly.
I became a big fan of batching just because life does get busy when you're forecasting what's coming. It's easier just to sit down. So like, thank you for today. Cause like today, last minute, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got a podcast now. Can you just like hop on? And
right.
So,
yeah.
you're doing that, but it helps me a lot because, you know, versus interruptions and time throughout the week, it's just nice to just go back to back.
Get it all done. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And then you've got it to drip out, which is really great.
Yeah.
So aside from the fact that if you're doing video, which was always my thing, it's good to show up as your authentic self. But recently I haven't been, and we did a bunch of videos for, like I said, my members club, and I was like, oh my, I look like death. Like I look like death. I'm over. Swear to God, I don't know what happened, if it was the lighting or what, but at the same time, I let go. I was like, you know what? I don't care. That is me.
Yeah.
Roll out of bed kind of look of whatever. I mean, but there's something to be said. Like if I was batching and I planned for it, I would probably like have on a little bit heavier makeup, or, you know, make sure that my hair is done or something, you know?
Yeah. Ever since quarantine, I haven't really been wearing makeup as much. So when I do my vlogs, I'm just like my natural self. But if I were to do a batch of like a couple of sit down videos, then I do put on makeup, or if I'm going to take some photos for Instagram, then I will. Yeah. But otherwise I just keep it natural.
Which is cool anyways. People want to see both sides and know that you're real,
yeah.
right? I mean, that's what people love. I mean, my Instagram too, same thing. I mean, sometimes I have on like the lashes and the hair is done, and then other times it's like so different, but that's like, I mean, we're all like that. I think there's like that TikTok, right? Where it's got the makeup brush and they're like,
yes.
And then they do it, and then they're like all the voomy. You know, that's a fun one too. I was like, wow, they really like people, which is cool that they stepped out to do that. Kind of like when we all stepped out to do the bikini pictures.
Oh yes.
Make a statement. But just to be who we are and be real.
Yes, exactly.
You know, speaks volumes, especially with, like I said, with an account and with your YouTube, which is what you're doing really, really well. So definitely keep it up.
Thank you.
Anything you want to share with everybody? Anything specific that you would tell up and coming dental students or?
Yeah, I mean, well, with talking about social media, if you are thinking about starting an Instagram or starting a YouTube, and it's something that you've like really thought about, I thought about my YouTube for over a year before I actually started it. And the thing is, you have to just do it, stop thinking about it, and just start it, because that's the best thing that you can do for yourself when there's something like that that you really want. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and just do it, because like they say, there's no better time than today, and you'll thank yourself in the future if you start now.
Love that. Praise. Yes. I would say, you know, even really to go micro on that versus the macro view is to take a sticky note and literally write the date you're going to start and put it up and stare at it.
Yeah.
And then reverse engineer and get it done. But you set that expectation, and you have to show up to it, which is good.
Right.
And step in, and it will make you that much stronger too. Like you can't live your life, you know, scared and
exactly.
You know, just, I agree with you 1,000,000%. I've always lived like that. I always step in and do it. So just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll leave with that. So, if you, people can DM you. Do you want to give us your, where people can find you on YouTube as well as Instagram?
Yeah. So my YouTube is just Eleni Marie, Eleni, Marie, Marie. And then my Instagram is the same thing, Eleni Marie, but with 3 E's at the end of Marie.
I was just going to say, it was like E.
Yeah.
Marie. I love it, which is great. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Everybody, please check out what she is up to. Again, just, you know, an up and coming dental student, stepping up and into showing off your journey and your life on Instagram. I'm a huge fan of that and what you're doing, and wish you the best of luck with everything. I can't wait to keep following your journey, see you grow, and welcome you into the wonderful world of dentistry once you get out.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for joining.